we are chapter, I think it's 22. Might be 21, but yeah, 22. Make sure you guys are here. All right, so you guys will have Socrative questions, two of them. These are the last two chapters. It's pretty short. All right, so therefore, again, make sure you're paying attention. Therefore, Woodrow concluded the reading of his English assignment. It is my belief that blind Benny, even with his poor sightless eyes, is the only person I know who can see with perfect clarity. Benny is able to see beyond appearances. Excellent, excellent, came from Porter and Dot Dot as everybody applauded. A very wise observation came from Granny. Wonderful, wonderful, came from Mamma and Irene Dotson. I would give it an A, said Grandpa. Keen came from me. The twins, Dottie and Dee Dee, just grinned and clapped. It was another birthday dinner at our house, this time for Granny, and a somewhat special occasion, because Porter had promised a couple of surprise announcements. It was a Saturday night, still in September, and my and Woodrow's confinement would be ending next Tuesday. Remember, they were punishing themselves for what they did. We were given a temporary reprieve for this dinner. I suspected none of the adults cared if we observed our confinement rules anyway. So remember, the parents aren't mad for what they did, so they're not that mad that she cut her hair, and they're not that mad that Woodrow beat up Buzz. Porter stood up, holding a glass of blackberry wine. I want to propose a special toast to Mother Ball, my good mother-in-law, and Granny to those children. Then I have an announcement. The toast first. Here's to a fine woman, wife, mother, homemaker, and talented music teacher. We salute you, Mother Ball, he said. Hear, hear, the adult said, and then he drank a toast to Granny. The little girls and Woodrow and I had cherry pop. Granny blushed and thanked everybody. Now for the announcement, Porter went on. It concerns your your finest piano student, Mother Ball. Oh, Gypsy, of course, Granny said, beaming at me. My ears perked up. What is this all about? We think it's time for Gypsy to have a formal recital. A recital? I screeched. What for? What for? Porter said, to show off for us and for Cole Station. Show off, I repeated like a dummy. Yeah, show off not only how good you are, but to honor your teacher as well. A recital? I was speechless. That meant just me, all by myself, playing the piano for about 30 to 45 minutes in front of a bunch of people. Right, so that's what a recital is, right? When somebody performs for other people. I think your 13th birthday would be a perfect time, Mama said, looking pleased. That'll give you about 2 months to prepare. Who am I going to invite? I asked. Everybody came from everybody at the table. Yeah, the whole town, said Woodrow. They were all waiting for me to react, and surprisingly, I felt a thrill of excitement beginning to grow. I could show off all those tricky finger tricks I'd learned, and those beautiful Mozart pieces, the popular stuff too, folk songs, and of course, the jazz. A program was taking shape in my head. So, what is one of the announcements that Porter made? What is one of the announcements that Porter just made? What is the announcement? This is the first one. Do you know? Do you know? Are you paying attention? Mr. Morales? Ah, Gypsy is going to perform. Good. Gypsy's going to play the piano. Yeah, good. Yeah, make sure you're paying attention. Some of you guys seem lost. Yeah, so she's going to have a recital, right? So you don't really see people doing recitals anymore. At least I haven't really seen it where people do this. But people used to do this back in the day, right? They would perform in front of a group of people. So she's going to show off her piano skills. All right, continuing. So she has a plan in her mind. All right, where am I? Okay. Joe Palooka, I said breathlessly, unable to hide the excitement, so she's happy. Everybody laughed and applauded. We'll lay our plans tomorrow, Mama said. Now for the other announcement, Doc Dot declared, and he stood up regarding Woodrow. Me? Woodrow said, and his voice broke, so Woodrow wasn't expecting this either. He looked startled, and the rest of us tried not to notice. Is this about my mama? He said. Oh, no, son, I wish it were. But it's still something good. Some time back, friends, I examined Woodrow's eyes. Since that time, I've been in correspondence with a doctor friend of mine who's an eye specialist in Baltimore. So after these long discussions with Porter and Mr. Ball here, we have decided to take Woodrow to my friend in Baltimore and see what we can be done for him. You mean an operation? I said. Probably. We can't give any guarantees, Doc went on. But from what I understand, the chances for a successful operation look promising. Woodrow was speechless. This cat got your tongue, cousin? I said, poking him playfully. No, he said at last. I was just waiting for Granny to holler it's time to wake up and get ready for school, 'cause I know I'm dreaming. What a night, what a party was by far the best that we ever had. So, what was the second announcement that Porter has made?
Now Woodrow might get surgery for his eyes.
Ah, true, exactly right. So, he's going to get eye surgery. All right, so that's the next second to last chapter. This is the last chapter, so we'll see what happens here. Seems like it's like lagging. All right. October 11th, the 1 year anniversary of Aunt Belle's disappearance, Woodrow came scratching at my window at 4:45 a.m. We had planned it all the night before, but when I opened my eyes, I couldn't remember what I was supposed to do. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you, Woodrow whispered through the screen. So he's purposely doing this early in the morning before the sun comes up, and he's reciting the poem that his mom used to say. So it says, "The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you." I sat up. Oh, yeah, we're going to the treehouse to watch the dawn come. Don't go back to sleep, he went on. You must ask for what you really want, I said sleepily, and I swung my feet to the floor, pulling a blanket after me. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch, he continued. The door is round and open, I whispered as I eased the screen to the floor. He helped me out the window and I pulled the blanket after me. He had one of his own. We headed for the treehouse. Do you smell the apples? Woodrow whispered. We paused and breathed deeply. It was a wonderful thing to feel the dew under our bare feet and the wet leaves brushing our cheeks and to smell the sweet aroma of apples at the peak of their ripeness. Grandpa didn't even have to try to sell the apples. They sold themselves. They were famous in our neck of the woods, and folks would come by with their own baskets and pokes to buy the best golden delicious apples in all of Virginia. It's true what they say about appearances being deceiving, Woodrow said as we continued through the orchard. How's that? I whispered. When I first came here, the trees were all in bloom. I'd never seen anything so pretty, and I thought that nothing could ever hurt people who lived in such a beautiful place. Now summer's gone, the apples are ripe, and I've learned a beautiful place can't shelter you from hurt any more than a shack can. We climbed upon the tree house porch, wrapped up in our blankets, lay back on the raw lumber, and listened to the birds just beginning to come awake. There was a touch of pale lavender on the top of the mountains. Think of all the millions of dawns that this world has seen, Woodrow said, but it will never be the same one again, or that same one when she left. Who's he talking about? Who's she? Yeah, his mom.
Belle,
Yep, Belle Prater. We could hear Blind Benny somewhere down the street singing When the Moon Comes Over the Mountain. So remember, Blind Benny's always out like late at night. It was exactly 1 year ago today, Woodrow said, and I still wake up every morning wondering where she is waking up, what she's seeing, what she's thinking about, what will she eat for breakfast, what is she planning to do today. I miss her so much. I wish I had known her better, Woodrow, I said. Yeah, you would have liked her lots, Gypsy. We made up that place I told you about, that place in the air behind our house. Mama and me. We made up lots of things. We used to talk about where the two worlds touch, and we told stories about it. One day it was a world of fairies and unicorns. The next day it was a place where giants and dinosaurs would eat you up. Sometimes it was a magical place where all you had to do was ask for what you really wanted. But I knew all the time it wasn't real. So here you have Woodrow finally admitting that the stories you've been telling him are not true. Okay? When the sheriff investigated, he asked if any of her clothes were missing, and they weren't, but some of mine were. I didn't tell him that. She took a pair of my pants and shirt, and she couldn't wear your clothes, I said. Yes, she could. If you remember, for the last few years I wore some of my daddy's and Uncle Russell's hand-me-downs, and they were always too big. She could have wore them easy. Some of my socks and shoes were gone too, and a cap. She could have put her hair up under it, and the $30 that we saved for my eye operation, it was gone too. I believe she went over to the mountain to Grassy Lick dressed as a boy. That's why nobody noticed her there. She probably hitched a ride with the carnival, which I know was pulling up and leaving that day. Maybe she got a job with them as an errand boy or something. It was just the kind of thing that would appeal to her. So what happened to Bella Prater?
She dressed up as a boy and got out to the carnival
Yeah,
thingy.
exactly. So again, we don't know for sure that that's what happened, but that's his guess, right? That she took all of Woodrow's stuff and left. So now again, you're getting a little bit of background on why was it that Woodrow got so pissed off that day when Gypsy was asking him about the money, right? So the reason now we know he was getting mad about the money for his operation because he knows that his mom took it. Woodrow, don't you think you should tell Mama and Granny and Grandpa all this just to set their minds at ease that nothing awful happened to her? Yeah, I reckon I'll do that today, Gypsy. I couldn't do it before. And Uncle Everett, I said, he should know too. Yeah, I'll tell Daddy too, but I don't think he cared as much about her as he let on. He was like the farmer in the golden hair story. His conscience bothered him more than anything else because he wasn't always good to her. I kept thinking she'd send me a message through these ads just to let me know that she was okay. She could have done that. She knew I'd be watching those ads every week. We always said it would be fun to send messages through the ads.
You know what? You know what this reminds me of?
What's that?
Me and my mom and my sister recently watched this movie called Enola Holmes,
I've never heard of it.
Sherlock Holmes' sister.
Oh, okay,
It's,
yeah. I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
yeah, but it's like really similar,
Oh, interesting.
extremely similar.
There you go. But she didn't. I didn't miss one. I read them every Sunday, and there never was one that looked like it might have come for her. Not one. She still might do it, Woodrow. No, she won't. She's gone. She won't ever look back now. I've known it for a long time, but it don't hurt as much as it used to. Woodrow fell silent. It was a moment, I reckon, when we both faced the truth. Aunt Belle had left Woodrow on purpose, just like my daddy left me. Not because they didn't love us, they did. But their pain was bigger than their love. You have to forgive them for that. Far away, we could hear a mourning dove. It was crying for us, so you hear like that the dove is in the distance, like crying. There were streaks of gold on the horizon, throwing an eerie glow into the orchard. We are in that in-between place, Woodrow said. That fascinated Mamma so much. Between what? I said. Well, first we're between being kids and grown-ups, you know. Then we're in the time between summer and winter. And we're also in that moment when a new day is just peeping over the horizon. His voice was fading away from me. I was in an in-between place of my own. That lucid place between sleeping and waking, right? So there's this whole kind of idea that the mom was so captured by the things in between. So, right, they're like tweens. That's an in between time. The time of year is an in between time. The fact that it's like day turning, coming from night is in between time, and also she's also dealing with being half awake. I was watching my daddy come riding over Cold Mountain on a black horse. Tall and straight in the saddle he was, dark and rugged as the hills. Nobody in Coal Station had ever seen the likes of him. That is the end. All right, so I need you to go on to Sakurativ. Let me stop this recording.